Hello and welcome back to Incredible Inverts and Other Animals with me, Phil. And today's video we're going to take a look at a non-invertebrate animal. We're going to take a look at a species of tortoise, the African spurred or Sulcata tortoise. So, let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, so here we have the African spurred or Sulcata tortoise. Its scientific name is Sulcata. That's obviously where we derive the second common name for it. It's actually quite important that a lot of tortoise keepers do tend to use the term Sulcata for these guys who use the species name, because actually there's sometimes a lot of people get confused between these guys and the Mediterranean spurred tortoise or spur-fied tortoise. So obviously both species having the word spur in the name can cause some confusion for some people, and it's important not to get confused between the two species, as there's a great deal of difference between them, especially when it comes to size. So the Sulcatas here are actually the third largest tortoise in the world, and they get really big. So this one here is Solomon, one of my Sulcatas at my work. We have a few there. We have 4 Sulcatas at my work. And Solomon, he's not actually quite fully grown. So he's around 53 kilos, which you might think, well, that's one hell of a tortoise. That is really heavy. But he's a male, and he could potentially reach up to 100 kilos in weight. So he's potentially only just over half grown. But you know, he is quite a size. And as well as being the third largest tortoise in the world, the Sulcatas are actually the fastest growing tortoise in the world as well. So they actually get big relatively quickly. So they do kind of reach kind of maturity, if you like, from about the age of 5, which is actually really quick. So but they're certainly nowhere near, they're not a really big tortoise by the way. They've still got some good size in them, and they'll be bigger than a lot of other tortoise species, but certainly, you know, they're not a big mature specimen, if you like. So Solomon here, he's in his 20s, so he hasn't taken necessarily all that long to get really big. See, a lot of people, when they visit us at my work, at the zoo I work at, and see our big tortoises, they think they must be really old, and they're not actually all that old. So now, of course, tortoises can live a very long time, especially if they're fully healthy and have been fully healthy all their life, and that is really important. Now, unfortunately, the tortoises we have at my work are all rehomed ex-pets that weren't kept correctly, and this is something that I will be touching on in this video, is kind of what we understand at the moment as correct sort of care for at least the Sulcata tortoise. So as I said, these guys do get big, so they don't necessarily make great pets for people. You do need quite a bit of space. They don't like being contained. And if they can break out of something, they will break out of it. They are determined animals, and they've been known to break through walls that aren't quite strong enough, and also kind of weak fences, anything like that. So you do have to be careful with these guys. So I mean, in terms of keeping Sulcata tortoises, as I said, you know, they get very big, so they do need a lot of space. They do need a decent size, sort of ideally garden shed that is fully insulated, that is also has all the heating and lighting in place for them. They come from sub-Saharan Africa, naturally in the wild, so they do like it hot. Now I'm in the UK, and so now we do get some nice days where they do, you know, reach a nice temperature, but of course they can't necessarily do that every single day in the UK. Now they do obviously require access outside on nice sunny days. Now I'm filming this kind of over the Easter weekend here at the park, and I've been quite lucky with the weather. That's actually been really nice and sunny, so they have enjoyed going outside. Now it's also important that they have access at the same time back inside to good heating and lighting. And sometimes we kind of get into a false sense of security over that, or if the sun's out there must be good UV, and that's not necessarily the case. So unless you have something like a solar meter 6.5, you won't be able to tell. So we need to be able to measure. Now some days we do get really good levels of UV that these guys can certainly utilise. So also, you know, benefit of going outside, even if it's just for a couple of hours within the day, they'll get some hopefully some really nice, good, fresh air, which they absolutely need, and so. But also just the heat of the sun. So now their shell works much like a greenhouse, so it actually allows those infrared wavelengths from the sun to penetrate through that shell, heat up the animal, but then they can't escape, and they actually get warmer than the outside temperature. So I've certainly measured these guys and their surface temperature, if you like, with a infrared thermometer gun. And sometimes, it can be 20 degrees, 25 degrees outside, and these guys will be 35, even sometimes 45 degrees Celsius in that bright sunshine and stuff. So they'll just soak up those infrared wavelengths and stuff. So sulcata as well, because they are such a large-bodied reptile, once they sort of warm up and get a nice temperature, they will keep that temperature for a long time. It doesn't necessarily dissipate too quickly. So it does mean as long as it's kind of dry outside, it's not windy, it's not raining, and sort of over the winter, as long as there's no frost or snow, they can go outside even just for a little bit. And that can really help them. But again, it is important that they're able to get back quickly to a good heat source to heat them up. Now, when we're talking about heat source for these guys, it is big heaters. A lot of zoos nowadays use things like patio heaters, sun switches, and stuff that are near infrared or infrared A to really penetrate basically the muscles and penetrate through that shell to heat up large-bodied reptiles really quickly. Now they can be expensive, but also available to the reptile trade are things like mercury vapors and good halogen lamps and metal halides. Things like this, so you want really strong lamps that will heat them up. Things like ceramic heaters, deep heat projectors, they're not really going to do anything really for any tortoise really in terms of heating them up at all. For smaller tortoises, you can certainly use things like halogen lamps. These guys you can use halogens for as well, but you would need either a lot of them or at least some really big ones. And so often for your larger tortoises, and even sometimes things like your large lizards, you're looking more at, like I say, those patio heaters to do that. And then obviously coupled with good UV, which I will talk about later on in this video. Now, as you can see here, this one is one of our other males, Jeep. So he's currently munching down on some grass. And then we've got Solomon again, and again munching down on some grass. And this is the main diet for the Sulcata tortoise. So they are grazers, they're a grazing species, and even here in the UK this is fairly lush for them, so they probably shouldn't really eat necessarily every day. And actually sometimes when they are outside, they're not necessarily eating all the time. They'll take little mouthfuls every now and then, so they're not absolutely scoffing the food down, but they'll have a few mouthfuls and then they'll have a wander around for a bit, have another couple of mouthfuls, wander around for a bit. And them naturally grazing like this is vital for them. So they've got to pull the grass and any sort of wild plants out of the ground. And again, other wild plants are really vital for these guys. So here he's spotted a dandelion flower, and bosh, that's gone. Things like dandelions, the flowers and the leaves, again quite good for tortoises as long as it's in moderation. And really for sulcatas, and I would say this actually in my daily tortoise talk that I do at work, for a lot of tortoises you want to avoid pretty much anything bought from the supermarket. So these guys are not designed to eat fruit, their digestive system can't really deal with fruit at all. And again with vegetables as well, often our fruit and veg is just far too high in sugars for tortoises. They can also have various compounds that bind with calcium and stop them absorbing calcium, especially things like cabbages. Strawberries and stuff, they may love them, but they're full of tannins as well. So this is just a little bit of a selection of food that you can give them. So things like dandelions, but grass. Whenever someone asks about sulcata diet, especially on zookeeper groups, all of us bang on of it's grass, more grass. You can supplement with hay as well, especially over winter. These guys do not hibernate at all. They need to stay warm and stuff. So the building is heated to around 45 degrees Celsius as a basking temperature, with the cool end at around 27 to 30. So so they do need it warm all year round, so you need to feed them all year round. Now of course this time of year all these wildflowers and wild plants are starting to grow. A lot of this is edible. There's garlic mustard here, there's goosegrass that they can have a little bit of, there's dandelions. So but what can you give them over the winter period? Well, again, you know, as much grass as you can perhaps try and grow various wild plants and stuff in greenhouses perhaps. So, but we'll actually supplement their diet over winter with hay and then products called just grass, graze on, ready grass, which are equine diets that we can get with just chopped up dry grass. So and then also prickly pear cactus or puntia. So that's actually a really good food, even for a lot of reptiles actually, because that contains a lot of calcium and also a lot of moisture as well. And here we've got various dead nettles and stuff. So this is one of our enclosures, and as you can see there's lots and lots of plant life coming up right now. There's some real sweet nettle here, which I absolutely love. Purple dead nettle. They will nibble on stinger nettles as well a little bit. Here we've got some more purple dead nettle and some white dead nettle, which they'll eat. Things like mallow, that's starting to come up now as well. So we've had, you know, some good rain and also lots of sunshine at the moment here in the UK, so all the grass and the wildflowers are growing. Clover, again in moderation, not too much just because of the protein in it. So, but lots and lots of varieties of food that are coming up this sort of time of year. And it's also quite good to actually go out and buy seeds to seed up your paddock, if you like. So this is mallow here. And places like the British Colonial Group actually sell seeds, and they can just scatter around. And then for the UV lighting, we use these Growth Technology lightwave units. So these hold 4 T5 UV lamps that are 4 foot long. And so these help us give a nice UVI gradient and focus zone of 3 to 4. Okay, so that was the Sulcata tortoise. What do you guys think? Absolutely amazing. So lucky to work with them at my work. Also my parents do have one as well. Now Sulcata's fantastic tortoises. They're certainly not for everyone in terms of keeping them privately. As hopefully you saw there, they get fairly big. And that is certainly something that you need to take in mind when seeing them sometimes sell as little tiny babies. Literally, some of them, one of the ones we had got at work, literally would fit in the palm of my hand when it first came here, and he's only what, 10 years old or so now, and he's like 25 kilos. And so you know, they grow quickly. So definitely keep that in mind if you're ever thinking of getting a Sulcata tortoise. Yeah, they're definitely not for everyone. So please do your research. So, but if you did like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Pop some comments down below. Do you keep tortoises? Are you looking into getting into tortoises and stuff? They are a big undertaking and stuff. So again, just emphasise, please do your research into a species of tortoise if you do currently keep one or are going to get one. Also, if you haven't yet, please do consider subscribing to the channel and hitting that bell for notifications, so you know next time I upload another video. But until next time guys, take care, stay safe and keep rocking.